Okay, so welcome back, everybody. Next up, we have the folks at Sine Nomine doing an update there. And so sharing today will be Kurt Acker. Kurt, over to you.
Hey, thanks, Bill, and thanks for everybody on the call. As you can see, this is a little bit of an announcement. I know a lot of folks have been pinging me for updates on what's going on with Marriott. I'm no longer really in a position to share that. I'm transitioning away from Marriott and over to Sine Nomine. Really looking forward for the opportunity to continue working with this team and being really part of this team. So as you can see, I've got a new email set up. My cell phone actually stays the exact same. Oops, I'm already on the last page there. Let me start on the first page. I'll be the principal architect starting on 7/15. So my transition is a little bit slow. Marriott's working on programs to release people. I happened to enter that program a little bit early on, and we're unsure on my actual end date from Marriott, but I will be transitioning over to the new company on the 15th. That said, my email is active and my cell phone still works, so folks are more than welcome to get in touch with me. And I'm here today to really kind of talk about some of the service and products and offerings the Sine Nomine has available. In a lot of cases, right, we've all been aware that the company's been around for 20 years and done a lot in the Linux space, but putting a lot of the products and offering together has been part of my new role. So I'm really looking forward to the opportunity to working with these folks and continuing to work with the community as a whole, helping people drive technologies and make change for the better around these systems. So that said, we really continue to turn research into reality. I really like that term because what I've noted by working with the company for so long on so many different projects is how do you take those visions, a lot of things that I come up with and other folks like me come up with, but then actually make them something that's functional. And a company like Sine Nomine brings the experts together that really understands how the technology works in order to make that bridge happen. So again, right, recognize design and production leadership all the way around from conception to implementation with full supportive services behind it all. And I've got a chart and a couple of charts that'll actually kind of round that all out that shows how all these different products fit together. But first and foremost, I want to just kind of put on a highlight on a couple of the links that I have. And these charts are going to be made available to everybody as well as a recording. But high availability option for Red Hat Enterprise Linux. It also works for Clef OS. It's a high availability file system that they were involved with early on, working directly with Red Hat and making this stuff work. It's a product that's available for end users. If you're looking for high availability options, it absolutely works on the mainframe, works very well, and it's supported by the company. As most folks know from my time at Marriott, I was presenting a good bit on what was going on with TPF to Linux modernization. Again, the company brings skills in that area, as well as scripts and other languages that can help merge those technologies. And in the case of where I used to work, right, or still sort of am working, Node.js and MongoDB were the center of a lot of that. The team at Marriott didn't have a lot of skills in those areas. So not only did we get education brought in, but we actually got a working model that is now supported by Sine Nomine. So it's incredibly full picture, right? Again, as I was talking about, it's from the implementation and design to concept. Again, Marriott has deep skills in TPF. Those skills were shared in brainstorming exercises, and it was a partnership that will hopefully continue to move us forward as Marriott starts to reevaluate the applications and different procedures that are in use today as they move forward into tomorrow with the business. Clef OS, this is another great one, right? It's royalty and license free. I really like the work that Neil's been continuing to do on that and present on it. I'm sure you've seen stuff on the listservs when he updates things. He really puts the information out there, makes everybody understand what's available with it and ready to use. You can use it royalty and license free. What's fun about that is, right, if you have an appliance need, something that you really want to kind of keep under the covers in your environment, here's a fully blown supported Linux version that you can actually run and do that type stuff with. Again, we offer full support, so if you need help there, it's available. Sine Nomine has been a ZVM partner for over 20 years, 20 years this year, really. again, deep skills, deep understanding, and a working format with all the different business partners. So it's not just a working format with IBM and the ZVM lab, but it's all the other supporting folks. Velocity Software comes to mind as a partner that we really started to work with a lot while I was at Marriott. In addition to products like that, the CA Broadcom suite of tools are completely supported, in addition to all the IBM tools. So whatever your shop is made up with, we can accommodate those different tools and actually help integrate them or bring ideas to the table if there's something that's not working right. Once again, with the skill sets, we're able to understand which tools make the right sense and what can get you past problems that you're currently having with the current tools that you're trying to use. So it can be beyond just a technology thing. If it's a pricing thing, implementation, again, we have the skill set to actually bring in those consulting work. That's an area that I'm going to be focusing on a lot, right, with education and training services in the mix of this. As we heard from the last presentation, skills and training seems to be one of the larger areas of, I don't want to say completely missing, but it's a gap that we've seen consistently, and I saw as an IBMer consistently as I was going into shops. What we're really hoping to do is help bridge those gaps and bring those skills back together in an affordable and easy to consume format. So we have different models of support available, and depending upon what your organization is looking for, we really hope to fill those gaps, help run your systems, and again, make things seamless so that your business just runs the programs it needs to run to make you successful. Well, we're in the background just making sure everything's really, really working and kept up to date. Again, there's a lot of different areas that Sine Nomine Associates has been involved with for a long time. A few of them are new to me. Some of the network operations center services, 3D modeling around your data center, and how your applications actually affect the usage of your data center, including things like operations centers even, where your collective teams, and those collective teams are going to have to sit differently now with COVID compared to how things were working today. I mean, this whole virtual thing is a great example of the shift that we've had to make in order to accommodate the way the world is today. And we have design specialists and tooling that can actually make models of how all this stuff will work for your, and again, cost effective, easy to work with, and generally part of your team over just thinking of us as a contractor that comes in for a certain job. OpenAFS, Andrew File System, that was a unique one that I've been learning about rather quickly lately. NJE and IP for open systems. Remote VPN, I think that's one that's really going to become a lot highlighted. Everybody needs to have things secured within your network, and the ability to be able to say, all right, here's how you're working from home, here's how your networking into your environments have shifted. We've got services available for that and can really help bring that technology together in a fashion that works for your organization. So that said, here's like just a real quick highlight that really shows how these different consulting, design, development, engineering practices and services, along with the supports and tools, kind of fall into a pillar of different items, right? And it goes from CMS to Linux-based tools, open systems products, development and management with some of these core things, right? Really Docker, Kubernetes, and Mono with .NET really kind of fit into things. We support the entire stacks across the board. And this is 24/7 support with call-in information or call-in numbers, depending upon what works best for you. We also even do things like email support if needed. And in some cases, write preferred because that's just the easiest way to get the messages out to everybody. But again, whatever works for your organization, we're willing to actually meet and match those expectations. And then the high availability options for Linux and storage. So this is just a configuration example, and it really kind of shows how a lot of these products actually fit together. And I want to thank Neil and Clayton for really putting this together, because again, it was one of the things when I started that people were asking me is, how do all these different products fit together? And to me, it was a great question because I wasn't familiar with a lot of the different tools that were involved. And once I saw this chart, it's like, all right, it does make a lot more sense, right? Complete high availability options for Linux, communication and file transfers in between them, support for the entire stacks, and the ability to run and manage this, not just from Z Linux or Linux on Z, but from any system, including distributed systems, and making it all work together in a heterogeneous environment that everybody actually is required to get involved with today. Things running solely on a single stack seem less and less and don't seem to be very applicable in today's world with all the different cloud services and different things that we need as a business, right? And as these cloud services evolve, being able to shift our primary applications over to them and getting there in a seamless fashion. So again, this configuration example really shows how you can make a hyperconverged system work with everything underneath the mainframes completely supported by Sine Nomine Associates. And I probably went a little bit quick today, but I wanted to try and make sure Bill got back on schedule with the timing. And again, I really wanted to use this time as an introduction to my upcoming work with this firm starting on the 15th of July. As mentioned, folks can contact me. I do have an email set up already. I'm just not heads down until the 15th. But until then, I'll make sure that calls are directed to somebody that can spend more time if I don't have the couple minutes for whatever reason to be able to work with y'all. That said, it's fantastic to still be part of the community. Really looking forward to seeing everybody at a lot more shares and VM workshops and at your organizations directly as we can try and fill roles that you may have that require our expertise. So with that, Bill, I'm going to pass things back to you unless anybody has any questions.
So any questions for Kurt? I don't see any in the chat. All right. Well, Kurt, it's great. No matter where you're at, you're part of the community, and we appreciate you. So welcome,
Thanks.
and I'm sure we'll be hearing from you.
Yep, and I appreciate all the questions and stuff in the chat too. It was really nice.